Calaroga Shark Media. Hello and welcome to Ghost. This episode is titled The Wailing Widow.
In the quiet rural town of Milford, nestled amidst the lush forests of Wisconsin, there existed a chilling legend known only as the Wailing Widow. Milford was a picturesque town, but its serenity was marred by the haunting presence of this malevolent spirit. The tale of the Wailing Widow had plagued the town for generations, a ghostly enigma with a harrowing past that continued to torment the living. Our story unveils the dark history behind the Wailing Widow, beginning with a tragedy that unfolded on a stormy night in the late 19th century. In those days, Milford was a tight-knit community, and its people took solace in their tranquil surroundings. A young woman named Maria Rodriguez was the heart and soul of Milford. With her raven black hair and striking green eyes, she was the town's belle and adored by all. She had fallen deeply in love with a handsome man named Carlos Martinez, a newcomer to Milford who had arrived in pursuit of a new life. Maria and Carlos's love story was the stuff of legends. They planned to marry, and their wedding was eagerly anticipated by the entire town. However, fate had other plans in store for them. On a fateful night in the midst of a torrential downpour, Maria and Carlos were traveling along the winding forest road that led to Milford. They were on their way back from a visit to a neighboring town when disaster struck. Lightning illuminated the night sky, revealing a massive oak tree that had been struck by the storm, blocking their path. Desperate to reach Milford, Carlos decided to remove the obstacle himself. Armed with an axe, he ventured out into the rain-soaked darkness. Minutes turned into hours, and Maria's worry grew with each passing moment. She called out for him, her voice trembling with fear, but there was no response. Finally, a group of concerned townsfolk set out to search for the missing couple. What they discovered was a scene of unimaginable horror. Carlos lay lifeless beneath the fallen tree, his body mangled by the vicious strike of lightning. Maria, drenched by the relentless rain, knelt beside him, her tear-soaked face etched with grief. The tragic death of Carlos Martinez and the loss of her beloved were too much for Maria to bear. Overwhelmed by sorrow and despair, she spiraled into madness. Her heart-wrenching cries of grief echoed through Milford, earning her the moniker of the Wailing Widow. She was consumed by her longing for Carlos, and her spirit could not find peace. As the years passed, Maria's descent into madness only deepened, fueled by her unrelenting grief and the unbearable weight of her loss. She withdrew from the world, shunning the company of friends and family. Her once vibrant spirit was now shrouded in an impenetrable darkness. It was on a chilling winter night, when the winds howled and snow blanketed Milford, that Maria's tragic fate reached its climax. She had become a mere shadow of her former self, a spectral figure drifting through her own life. Unable to endure the torment any longer, Maria made a fateful decision. She ventured to the very spot where Carlos had met his untimely demise, the gnarled oak tree that had become a haunting symbol of their love and loss. With a heavy heart and tears streaming down her face, she clutched a locket containing a portrait of Carlos close to her chest. It was there, beneath the barren branches and beneath the cold, unforgiving sky, that Maria's life came to a tragic end. She took her own life, her anguished spirit departing from the world in the same place where her love had been extinguished by the storm and the lightning. Maria's death sent shockwaves through Milford, as the townspeople were gripped by a profound sense of sorrow and dread. It was said that her anguished cries of despair on that fateful night still echoed in the hearts of those who had loved her, and that's when the true weirdness began. Strange occurrences plagued Milford in the wake of Maria's death. Residents reported eerie sightings of a woman in a white gown wandering the forest, her mournful wails carried by the wind. Objects moved on their own, and ghostly apparitions haunted the town's once peaceful streets. The legend of the Wailing Widow took hold, and the town was forever changed. Fear and unease became a part of daily life for the people of Milford as they grappled with the otherworldly presence that had been unleashed. Generations came and went, but the Wailing Widow endured, her spirit unable to find peace even in death. It seemed that the tragic events of that stormy night had bound her to the mortal realm, and she would forever haunt Milford as a tormented soul. But it was only when Jamal Khan, the young psychic, arrived in Milford that the town's long-standing nightmare would finally come to an end. Jamal's extraordinary gift and his unwavering determination to help the Wailing Widow find peace would set in motion the events that would banish the ghostly spectre from Milford and allow the town to finally reclaim its tranquility. Khan had a unique gift for communicating with spirits, and was determined to unravel the mystery of the Wailing Widow. Jamal Khan's arrival in Milford coincided with the anniversary of Maria's tragic death. On that fateful night, as the clock struck midnight, Jamal ventured alone into the dark forest where Maria had lost her beloved Carlos. Armed with his psychic abilities and a deep empathy for the Wailing Widow's plight, he called out to the tormented spirit. "I know your pain, Maria," Jamal whispered into the night. "I can help you find peace." A chilling wind swept through the trees, and the Wailing Widow materialized before Jamal, her ghostly form illuminated by the pale moonlight. Maria's mournful gaze met Jamal's eyes, and for the first time in decades, a sense of recognition flickered in her spectral countenance. Jamal learned of Maria's unending grief and the torment that had bound her to the mortal realm. With empathy and compassion, he guided Maria's spirit toward the light, helping her find solace and release from her agonizing existence. As the Wailing Widow ascended towards the heavens, a sense of peace washed over Milford. The haunting cries that had plagued the town for generations were silenced forever, and the shadow of Maria's sorrow was finally lifted. The townspeople of Milford could now sleep peacefully, knowing that the tragic tale of the Wailing Widow had come to an end. Jamal Khan, the young psychic who had bridged the gap between the living and the dead, had succeeded in offering redemption to a tormented soul, and in doing so, he had banished the ghostly spectre that had haunted their town for so long.
Ghost is a Calaroga Shark Media production, written and hosted by Alexander Ian McIntyre, produced by Mark Francis, executive producers Mark Francis and John McDermott. Calaroga Shark Media.